is, are these cases against Trump really, for his alleged crimes, or are they simply to keep him out of the White House in 2024? For more on this, let's welcome in Democratic strategist Bill Caruso and Director of Policy and Government Affairs for the American Principles Project, John Schweppe. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you so much for being with us here on Wake Up America Weekend.
Good morning.
All right, John, let's start off with you. Based on what we see in these cases, do you think this is political weaponization in order to get, a handle on the election in November, or are these legitimate, cases in the interest of justice?
Oh, absolutely. This is politicization. And you look at it, all these cases are starting to fail. You have the documents case. You have the Georgia case with Fani Willis, our favorite gal down there, who's having a great time at the moment. And you have, all these states, in Illinois, the Illinois State Board of Elections actually threw this out a month ago. And then some judge who used to be a traffic judge like a year ago decided that she was going to try to interfere in the election. So, what I'd love to see, though, is all these efforts to throw things against the wall. And I'm looking at the Real Clear average right now. Trump is up 2 points in the national polling. This stuff doesn't seem to stick to him, and I think that's a good sign for November.
Yeah, we cannot forget as well, one of the sole reasons that Letitia James ran in the first place here in New York is to get Donald Trump. Take a listen.
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your vote.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
Running for Attorney General because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. We need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money.
Okay, so Bill, does it seem like these are legitimate cases when you hear someone like that using this kind of language against him?
Well, it depends, and I'll offer this to you. Whether we're succeeding in these cases or not succeeding in these cases, it really depends on who you're asking. She won that case right now, and depending on what happens with the appeal, we'll see what happens. And I would say to you, from a political standpoint, I don't think these are going to have any impact on this election. I don't think they're going to hurt Donald Trump. I think to some extent we're seeing that polls now, but I don't think they're going to help him. I think for Democrats right now, I can speak as a Democrat, we have to come to two truths. Number one, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are going to be the nominees for the respective parties in November. That's this race, okay? So it's not going to be anyone else at this point, all the machinations going on. And we win on the Democrat side, not by fooling around in the ballot or not by fooling around in the courthouses. Those are maybe be legitimate. We win by doing what we've done since 2016. When after Donald Trump won the 2016 race, we beat him every single time, whether he's been on the ballot or his proxies have been on the ballot. That's how Democrats win in November. We win on a record. We win on the economy. We win on this border issue, which you guys have been covering. But we have to dig in on these issues, not this nonsense.
I take you at your word. I think that you guys should run on that. I don't think you right now, based on polling, win on the border issue, but we're going to find out. But I want to shift over to the Supreme Court now. They're stepping in to decide Trump's immunity from criminal prosecution in the 2020 election subversion case. So, John, if he's given immunity, how would that affect the goal here for what seems like the Democrat goal is to just slow him down during this election process?
Well, I think the reason for why that immunity is necessary is on display right now. You can't have this politicized lawfare, because what's going to happen, and the Democrats will find this out soon enough, is that they're setting the standard. Now Republicans are going to do the same thing. And this isn't how democracy should work. We should be able to transfer power back and forth and take this to the voters, like my co-panelist said here, make it about the issues. But that's not what's happening here. And so I do think it's important for the Supreme Court to come in here and make a pretty sweeping ruling saying, look, this is not what we want for this country. We don't want to do all this lawfare. Joe Biden has plenty of his own problems. And if he loses and, this is the new standard, maybe he ends up in a jail cell to finish out the last few years of his life. And we don't want that. I don't think that's good for America.
I don't think that would be good for America at all, see both of them in there. Anyway, But if Trump was put in jail, what kind of message do you think that will send to the rest of the world, really, Bill, to you? Because we have a president that, can't testify in a trial on his mishandling of classified documents because he would appear as a, quote, elderly man with a poor memory, but then his political rival will be in jail. So how do you sort of balance that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to jail here. I mean, remember, there's opportunities for pardons down the line and all that. I think this has gotten way out of hand. First of all, the Supreme Court is looking at another case right now on whether or not he can be on the ballot. And as a Democrat, I think that's good. I think the Supreme Court is going to rule he should be on the ballot, and all this nonsense needs to stop. We need to have this race. We have elections in America. That's how we decide our candidates. So I'm fairly confident in this. But that said, no one is above the law. And these separate individual cases going on, whether they're politically motivated, let's be honest, politics motivate everything. If there are findings of fact that anyone, regardless of whether they're the president of the United States, did something wrong, they should be held accountable. And we'll see where those things go. I don't believe the Supreme Court's going to hold that the president is immune from prosecution for things he may have done wrong.
Yeah, I think they're gonna take a look at it and say, if you're within the scope, you're immune. If you're outside the scope, you're not. But I'm going to say this, Bill, you're a breath of fresh air. I bet you we would disagree on policy, but sure. I think we agree that democracy means put everyone on the ballot, let the American people decide, and let's get to the issues. But we're going to have to leave it there. Bill Caruso, John Schweppe, thank you very much for your input. Appreciate it.
Thank you both.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right, don't